Again, welcome to the webinar. Today, we're going to do a Q&A of the portal. So before we get started, I'll go ahead and give a quick overview, an agenda of what to expect for our session today. First, we will do an overview of the MLC, what we do, what we don't do, answer a couple of common FAQs that we get a lot. Then we will go ahead and shift gears and utilize a tool called Thought Exchange to facilitate the Q&A session so that we can crowdsource all of your questions and by your rating determine which topics and questions are most important to the group. Again, today we will be answering your questions about the MLC portal specifically. So if you have another question or maybe your question didn't get answered, please reference our website. There's a lot of great resources on there for you to use, or we do have our support team. You can reach out to them as well. So my name is Lindsey Major. I'm the head of customer experience, and I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Maurice.
Hi, I'm Maurice Russell, and I am head of rights management for the MLC. All right. Before we delve into the Q&A, there's some certain frequently asked questions that we get that we want to just review with you. The first involves what we do and what we don't do. So let's focus on what we do. The MLC will establish and maintain a public database of musical works, and that is actually available. If you go to the homepage of our site at www.themlc.com, you can see on the right-hand side, upper right corner, a link for public search. And not only can you search the database, it is also available for download. The MLC also offers a blanket license covering mechanical rights for digital audio only services in the US. That went live on January 1st, 2021, and it replaces the prior regime of individual track-by-track mechanical licenses. Next, the MLC will receive sound recording usage data from the digital audio services and match that data to identify the ownership of the rights holder ownership for each work. And last but not least, the MLC will collect and distribute digital audio mechanical royalties from the DSPs and pay it to its members, who include publishers, administrators, foreign CMOs, self-administered songwriters, composers, and lyricists. What the MLC will not do is administer performance rights for musical works. We do not administer digital performance rights. That's something that Sound Exchange does. We do not administer mechanical rights for physical products. That is excluded from the scope of what we do. The MLC only collects digital audio mechanicals. We will not administer any licenses or collect royalties for audio visual uses, or also known as synchronization licenses or synchronization uses. And finally, we will not administer or collect mechanical royalties outside of the US. So again, the MLC does not replace your PRO, and it does not replace Sound Exchange. Next slide. Okay, I'm going to go through 5 frequently asked questions so that we can get those out of the way for today. At the top of the list is, how will historic unmatched mechanical royalties be paid by the MLC? As you probably know from our announcement last week, the MLC received $424 million from the digital services, from various digital services, who are entitled to do so in exchange for a limitation of liability of infringement going back to the inception of their services. There were 20 digital services that transferred their data to us in all. The DSPs now have until June 15th, 2021, to deliver the remaining data for their unmatched royalties, including data regarding any partial payments made where the rights holders for some of the shares of the work were known and others were unknown. We cannot begin determining how much is owed to a given rights holder on a partially paid work until we have this additional information. In the meantime, we've begun reviewing the data we have received in order to identify and resolve any errors or formatting issues in those files. Once that process is complete, we will ingest the data into our internal systems where we can analyze it, begin our internal matching efforts, and prepare to make the data available to our members and the public. At that point, members will be able to search the data, submit claims where they have identified a use of their work, and get paid the related royalties. Next question. How can I be sure my musical works are accurately represented in the MLC's database? Well, if you are a member or planning to become a member, you can log into the MLC portal at any time and check your data. And you can update it and add new works as necessary. If you have more than a handful of works, though, we have another solution called the Data Quality Initiative, DQI. And what DQI sits outside of the song registration process, and what it allows you to do is to upload works from your system to the MLC. The MLC takes those works, matches it to its database, and identifies any discrepancies, and then returns those discrepancies back to you in a file so that you can focus only on addressing those. For more information about DQI, we're going to put a link to the DQI page in our website. If you are not a member because your musical works are administered by a publisher or publishing administrator, you can access the MLC's database via the public search tool, which I referred to earlier. If you identify any discrepancies or errors, though, you should bring those to the attention of your publisher so that they can deal with those. Let's move to the next question. What is the connection between the MLC and the Harry Fox Agency, HFA, and how does it affect my works registration? HFA is a privately owned company that is a vendor to the MLC, and it provides services to us. One of those services is to share the musical works ownership information in their database with us. They have done this and will keep doing this on a continual basis. If you are a publisher or self-administered songwriter who regularly registers your works with HFA, you do not need to also register them with us. HFA will share your data with us. However, you do need to become a member of the MLC and set up your banking and contact details so that we can pay you the royalties that we collect for your works under the blanket. If you are a publisher or self-administered songwriter who has never registered works with HFA, you are not required to. You should become a member of the MLC and register your works directly with us. Next question. Which DSPs is the MLC collecting from? Only certain types of DSPs have to secure mechanical licenses and pay mechanical royalties. DSPs which operate a service in the US that offers audio-only interactive streaming and downloads are eligible to obtain the blanket mechanical license under the Music Modernization Act. DSPs operating under the blanket license will be required to pay mechanical royalties due under that license. And we have a list, by the way, on our website of the DSPs that have filed notices of license to obtain the license, and that we expect to be reporting royalties under the MLC blanket. Last question, when does the MLC collect and pay royalties? DSPs will submit sound recording usage data and accompanying mechanical royalties to the MLC on a monthly basis. The MLC will then match the usage data to the musical works in the MLC database. Once the data is matched, the MLC will pay out the mechanical royalties to our members each month. There is a timeline that is followed from when the activity happens on the service to when it's reported to us, when we match it, and then pay it out to you. And that's available on our website. And we're going to throw that link into the chat as well. So there you have it. Let's now move back to the Q&A. Lindsey?
Thanks, Maurice. So as Maurice just said, we are going to move into the Q&A portion of this webinar. To do this, we're going to be utilizing a crowdsourcing platform called ThoughtExchange to gather your input. So a ThoughtExchange has 3 steps: share, where you get to share your thoughts independently and anonymously; The star step where you rate the thoughts of others and discover where we all get to see what's most important to the group. So in a moment, you'll be able to participate. What we'll do is we'll share a screen. There will be a QR code that will appear on the screen that you can access the exchange through. We'll also drop a link in the chat. You do not need to download ThatExchange app or sign in order to participate. We can just give you a link to click on. Once you're in the exchange, please share 1 to 3 questions you have about the MLC portal that you would like answered during today's webinar. After you put in your 1 to 3 questions, we'll ask you to rate the thoughts of everybody based on how much you agree. So 5 will be, I strongly agree. 1 is, I strongly disagree. I encourage you to use the full range of the stars to best reflect the group's priorities. Again, this is confidential, so your identity will not be known or associated with the thoughts or how you star other people's thoughts. So I'm going to have my colleague share the screen. So the exchange should take just a few minutes. So if everyone could either pull out your phone to access the exchange. In order to do that, you'll open up your camera and focus it on the QR code that's on the left-hand side there. You don't need to take a picture. You should just be able to hover over it and a link should appear at the top of your screen. Alternatively, you can just open a web browser, go to tejoin.com and enter that 9-digit code you see on the screen. And then lastly, my colleague has dropped the link to the exchange in the chat, so you can click on the link to access it as well. So again, either hover over that QR code, go to tejoin.com and put in that 9-digit code, or you can just go ahead and click the link that was dropped in the chat. So we'll go ahead and give everybody a minute or so to access the exchange. All right, and you'll see we're going to give about 5 minutes to do this. So Lacey can go ahead and start that timer. You can now start to add your top 1 to 3 questions about the MLC portal that you'd like us to cover today. Please put your questions in the exchange and not the chat, because so we can get all the questions and make sure that they're rated. If you are having trouble accessing the thought exchange, you can go ahead and use the chat for help there. Again, go ahead and put your 1 to 3 questions in the exchange. And we'll give everyone the remaining time to put their questions in and do their ratings. All right, what you're seeing on the screen right now is just everyone participating. So far, we have 32 thoughts and 118 ratings. We are about halfway through our time. So if you haven't yet moved on to the star rating step, please do so now. This is where, again, you'll rate people's thoughts, including your own, and it's how we'll be able to get a sense of what's most important to the group, and it will help us prioritize all your questions. We have about 1 minute left. Great job. Lots of participation going on, which is amazing. Definitely try to rate as many thoughts as you can in the time remaining. All right, time is up. Thank you again for submitting your questions and your ratings. So now as our team will work in the background to categorize all the thoughts. But in the meantime, we wanted to show you some of those helpful resources we were referring to. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it back over to Maurice to kind of show you where some of those things are.
Hi, everyone. Well, while the Q&A data is marinating, I'm going to share my screen and just walk you through some resources on our website that you should be familiar with. Should be able to see my screen now. This is the home page of our website. I'm going to start with the resources page, which is located in News and Resources. If you click Resources, you'll see that we have a wealth of information here, from FAQs to various information targeting different segments of our stakeholders, including members and publishers and self-administered songwriters, section for educators, video content explaining in more detail how the MLC works. We also have recordings of our webinars that we post here. So if you want to go back and review something, you can. So there's tons of information here. Definitely check out the resources section of the website. If you go to the How It Works section, you'll see that we have added a lot of tabs here of new information. One is the historical unmatched royalties page, which I touched on earlier. You can see that we have information about historical unmatched royalties and the 20 DSPs that contributed to the $424 million PNU amount. We'll continue to add more information to this page as we work through the data. So be sure to keep abreast of this. Next is our disputes policy. And I think I saw a few questions about disputes in the Q&A. We recently added a disputes policy, and you can access that policy here in the disputes policy tab. It includes, among other things, features like notifying the parties involved that there is a conflict or a dispute, putting royalties on hold, and requiring substantiating documentation. It's currently going to be managed outside of the portal, but there will be portal functionality introduced in the coming months where you'll be able to manage your disputes directly in the portal. But this is a big first step. DSP notices I mentioned. If you want to see the DSPs, the list of DSPs that have filed notices of license with the MLC, you can go to this page. And not only can you see the list, you can click into different links to see the information that was submitted in those notices. So definitely something worth reviewing. And we talked about royalties. So if you go to the blanket payment section, have information about the royalty timeline. And as of last week, we actually at the bottom, you can see that we added a link to statement templates. So if you want to know what the statement layouts are going to look like, you can get a copy of it and review it by clicking here. So definitely spend some time with the How It Works section to review all of this information in preparation for the payment of royalties in April. And let's see, next, always remember that we're here to help. So if you're in the portal and you have a question or an inquiry that you want to submit to our support team, you can click the question mark and contact us, and it will generate a pre-populated form where you can submit your inquiry. And there's even a filter of topics, so you can apply a topic with that inquiry and just hit submit. There's also a number, so if you feel more comfortable speaking to someone over the phone, you can do that. And there's also a link to our help center where you can review tons of articles in our knowledge base to familiarize yourself with publishing and the blanket license and pretty much everything that you need to know as a member. So lots of information. If you want to keep abreast of what's going on with the MLC, be sure to subscribe to our newsletter and we'll keep you up to date on everything. Lindsey.
Great, thanks. So it looks like our team is done categorizing your questions. So let's dive in and take a look. Please know we will try to answer as many questions as we can today. But again, if you have something that wasn't answered or you need a little bit more help with, our support team is here to help. And Maurice just showed you how to get to them. So feel free to reach out to them. So just start off, we'll do just kind of like an overview of who everyone is. Looks like our group is mostly, I need to blow this up. We got mostly publishers, followed by some self-administered songwriters. So a good diverse group, but we've got mostly publishers in the house. So that's very helpful as we navigate your questions. The themes that we have grouped your questions into are as follows. Looks like the portal functionality followed by registering works, editing works, signing up as a member. So these are the themes that your questions have been grouped into. We'll go theme by theme to address the top 3 to 4 questions in each group. That way we cover a wide array of topics. And then if we have time, we'll just go back to a theme and address those questions. So let's get right to it. Okay. So the first one, will the MLC portal have income tracking tools similar to what is available in HFA? Maurice, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, so again, as I mentioned, unmatched royalties and the supporting information will be made available in the portal for our members to search and claim. And that'll be your central tool really for conducting income tracking. And you'll be able to filter by a lot of components to identify and to prioritize your tracking effort. So that will really be where you'll be looking through the unmatched and attempting to identify what you believe should be matched to your work so that you can claim it and be paid.
Next one, what tools will be available through the portal to track disputes?
I think I touched on this earlier. We just released our disputes policy. Initially, it will be managed outside of the portal, but there will be a conflict management platform that will be introduced later in the year that will allow members to manage disputes among themselves. More on that to come.
Great, thanks. Will statements be available for download from the portal?
Yes, they will. We will add a statements module to the portal, and you'll be able to download your statements from there. And again, if you want to see a template of what the statements look like, we have two options, and they're available for download if you go to the blanket payment section of the website.
The next one, is the portal being improved regularly in terms of how quickly the data can be updated in terms of wait time between each song update? So the portal is, I'll take this one, Maurice, sorry. So the portal is very new. Obviously, we just rolled it out this year. So it's always being improved upon. It'll be being improved upon for quite some time in terms of how quickly the data can be updated, you know, for wait times between each song. That's more about the process of matching the data and making sure that all the works are correct than it is about the functionality in the portal. But we are always looking to optimize these processes and make sure that we have as little time between work registration and accepted works as we can. Anything to add to that, Maurice?
No, I think you got it.
Okay. Oh, let's hop to a new category. Okay, what will the MLC do about the duplicate ISRCs that are currently in HFA's database and current duplicate song codes?
I can take that. Thank you. You know, I think it's important to keep in mind that one of the big steps forward with the MLC is that all of the data is kind of on an open platform. What that means is that you can see everything, and there are issues with data that need to be addressed. So when you find things like duplicate ISRCs and duplicate song codes, you should bring them to the attention of the support team, and those will get addressed.
And the next question is some recommendations for cleaning up duplicate registrations. Kind of in the same vein, we're working very hard. That's one of the data cleanup projects that we're currently working through now, is trying to dedupe any of those registrations. But again, if you do find duplicate works in the portal or in our database, be sure to reach out to the support team with that information, and we'll be able to get that cleaned up for you. How often are changes to work registrations at HFA reconciled with the MLC? Maurice, did you want to speak to this?
You know, it does depend. It depends on when you register a work or update a work, what conditions it meets in the process of being processed. So it's hard to give a hard and fast timeline. I think it depends, but it could be from, you know, within a few days to, I guess, up to a week.
How should the partial PD content of a song be identified so that it does not look like an unclaimed copyright share? Excuse me.
One thing that you may be able to do is use the alternate title Need a little bit more information to respond to this one. And I want to, hesitate in being too prescriptive about this.
And then if we are certain a song is registered at HFA but doesn't appear at the MLC, what would be the reason and the proper remedy?
Sorry, go ahead, Lindsey.
No, go ahead.
No, I'll let you go.
I'm not sure that there would be a reason that there would be a work at HFA and not at the MLC. But if that is the case, the proper remedy would be to register the work with the MLC. You can also, if you're unsure about whether you're registering a work and it's going to create a duplicate, you can reach out to the support team and they'll help walk you through it.
Yeah, I would say that if it exists at HFA and it's not in the MLC database, I would probably contact support first, because the last thing you want to do is create a duplicate.
Okay. Try another topic. As a songwriter, I have songs registered with 3 different names. How can I make sure every name is under one account? That's a good question. So if you're a songwriter, you will likely have, or if you do have an affiliation with the PRO, you probably have a publisher name with that PRO, not necessarily a publisher IPI, but a publisher name. I would recommend that you register your member under that name, and then on the works registration, you'll be able to add the songwriter name to each work. So that's how you can make sure it's all under the same account. And again, not to sound like a broken record, if you're finding that to not be the case, or you need some help on how to set that member account up properly, you can reach out to the support team. What is the difference between a member and a user? That's a really good question. So a user is basically just the account that you need to gain access to the MLC portal. So this is your personal information. It's how we verify that you are who you say you are. So when you sign up, when you first sign up for the portal, you're signing up for your user account. I'm Lindsey Major, here's my information. I go through what we call a know your customer check, which is just an identity verification. It's for the safety of all of our users and members. And then once you're in, then you can create your member account. And your member account is the entity that you will register your works, you'll collect royalties to. So that's the difference between the two. Okay. I am a self-administered songwriter with 3 different publishing companies. Does that present a problem? So far, I have only been entering songs from my main. It doesn't present a problem. I'm not sure. I'll address this question in a couple of ways. So when you say you have 3 different publishing companies, if that means that you possibly have representation among 3 different companies, so the publishing company you are represented by, you won't need, and they are administering those works for you, you will not need to register those works. So if you do have representation for certain parts of your catalog, whoever owns the rights to collect those digital audio mechanicals will be the one that registers the works. So for partially self-administered songwriters, that means you only have to register the works that you own. Now, if you're saying I have 3 different publishing entities, then you can just create a member for each publishing entity, but there's no problem either way. So again, any questions about how to set up your account in the most effective way, the support team is going to be able to walk you through it step by step. Okay. If there are 3 publishers on a song and all 3 publishers have not claimed their percentage, will the publishers that have claimed percentages be paid? The short answer is yes. But Maurice, did you want to add anything to that?
No, we will pay publishers as the shares are registered. I think that covers it.
Cool. If royalties are paid out incorrectly or there is a disputed claim resolved, will the MLC make retroactive payments based on the resolution?
Yes, we will be making adjustments in cases like that, and we actually discussed that a bit in the blanket payment section of the website.
Will you be paying partial owners if you only have partial information? Co-publishers can be hard to locate. I'll answer part of it, and then Maurice, you may have to fill in. So when you're registering works, you should only be registering the publishing information for the shares that you own. So that sort of mitigates the need to find those co-publishers that may be hard to find because you're only responsible for your own shares. Partial information, it just sort of depends. If we have enough information to match the work and we have contact and payment information, we should be able to execute a payment. But Maurice, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean,
to
this is I think this is similar to the prior question. If you properly register the work and register only your share, yes, you will be paid.
As a publisher, how can we identify various imprints and acquired companies' catalogs that we control?
So the information is in the data now, and you'll see that when you register works, you can add, there's an administrator field and there's an original publisher field. We will be making this data easier to manage. Later on in the year, we'll add a catalog view that will allow you to look at those catalog by catalog. So if you only want to focus on works of a certain original publisher or administrator, you'll be able to do this.
Okay, thanks. Okay. Will the portal allow you to search for payments for individual works, like the ITR function on the HFA portal?
The answer is yes, though I can't speak to the specifics of the ITR function with HFA. You'll be able to search by sound recording tracks that are either unmatched or partially unclaimed. And if they match to your work, you'll be able to put in your claim and receive those royalties.
Will the portal have a function to show analysis, or let's say top works, top earnings by DSP?
Currently, no, but that's something that we definitely are looking at, adding analytics and reporting. Right now, of course, the focus is on delivering the key milestones that we need under the statute to pay our members. But going forward, we have quite a bit of data, and there are a lot of additional tools that we look forward to making available to our members.
Can you explain how to download the client data from MLC? So at the moment, we're still working on developing a catalog download feature. So in the meantime, you can you can look into our bulk database feed. That's one option. Another option is if you're trying to see any discrepancies, you can utilize DQI. But we're still developing some catalog download features. Another option that you have, we can reach out to that support team, and they should be able to access a download potentially for you. So we can find some ways to get to it, but right now we're still working on that within the portal.
Lindsey, I think they may also be referring to download of royalties. So royalty files, I mentioned earlier that there are two options, and that the layouts are available for you on the blanket payment section, and you can download and review those. The royalty files will be downloadable in a TSV format, which is pretty easily compatible with most spreadsheet software, and I'm sure that companies who have the capability will also be mapping the data into their proprietary systems. I think that's what this is a reference to.
Thanks. Will we be able to download a spreadsheet with all of our works? I guess I answered that question in the last question. Is there any way to add an IPI to an entry other than deleting the composer or publisher and recreating the entry? Much auto and content note. Yes, you can. On the work, if you click on edit the work, you will be able to add an IPI either to the songwriter or the publisher. The only thing that you won't be able to do is change a publisher IPI. If you need to change the publisher IPI, you will need to reach out to support, but you can just edit the work and add an IPI. When will statements be available on the portal?
So we touched on this earlier with the royalty timeline, and the information on the specifics of the timeline are on the website. But under the statute, the DSPs are required to report usage and pay their royalties to the MLC within 45 days following the close of a royalty period. So for the month of January, we should have reporting from the DSPs by March 15th. The MLC will take 30 days to produce statements and pay its members. So that will be approximately April 15th, so mid to late April. And then monthly thereafter.
What filters will be available to search statements on the MLC portal?
There'll be many filters. It's going to be quite a bit of data. You'll be able to search, for instance, by DSP, usage type, by period. We have as many filters as you can imagine to make it as easy to slice and dice it so that you can download the information in a way that works best for you and your systems.
Who is the best point of contact to ask questions regarding the portal? Is it the general MLC client services, or is there a specific portal helpline? It is the support team. We can probably drop the contact us form. You can call us. There's a chat within the portal. But yeah, if you have any questions about the portal, how to navigate it, how to make changes, that MLC support team is your go-to team. And then I think this is the last one in this section. Where can we find video tutorials on how to use the MLC portal? I believe we have those available on our website as well. Maurice showed you the resources page earlier. There's a lot of great tutorials and videos in that resources page. So I would highly recommend checking those out.
Yes, it's a great resource.
Okay. All right. About how long will it take to update our catalog after we submit updated information? This can vary depending on how much volume we have of song ingestions, but typically you should be able to see it within the week. If there are any delays, we're usually pretty good about updating that, but usually, you're within 1 week, maybe 2 if the team is really backed up. Can the MLC have updated information that HFA has not updated yet?
Not sure if I'm following.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I understand that question. suppose if you want to put a follow-up in the chat, we'll try to find it and see if we can answer that one for you. How can we download our catalog from the MLC portal? So we sort of answered this one earlier, but just a reminder, we're still working on that function to download the catalog. Timing is TBD at the moment. If you do need a catalog download, we might be able to get you one if you contact support. We can try to see if we can get something out of the back end, but coming hopefully soon for the catalog, be able to do it yourself. At HFA, we add all songwriters and only our publisher. MLC asks only for the songwriters managed by our publisher. Will this cause issues when MLC takes data from HFA?
I don't think so. There are other unique identifiers to identify the song and match it to any existing works so that to avoid duplication. And I think that that's what the question is getting at.
Okay. Cool. Songs registered at HFA don't show up at MLC account. What to do when this happens? If you know you have a work registered at HFA and you're not seeing it in the MLC portal, I mean, definitely log in. You can either use the public search or you can log in your member account and check your works registration history. But if you know there's one at HFA that hasn't made it over, reach out to support and we'll have to investigate that for you. How soon until we can correct and edit errors on songs, quality and payment? So you can edit works now within the portal. So if you found some works that are incorrect or have incorrect data, you can go into the portal now and edit the work. In terms of payment, I'll let Maurice address that part of it.
If you have questions about payments, you should contact support.
Please explain exact steps what someone who has an HFA account and MLC account should do to assure there is alignment between the songs. Do you want to take that one, Maurice?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think I covered this earlier, but HFA is a vendor to the MLC, and as part of the services they provide, they share their musical works data with the MLC. So whatever you register with them should be shared with the MLC. If for some reason you do not see this data in the MLC's database and you know that it's registered with HFA, you should contact support.
In the submission spreadsheet, should the field recording title be filled in with the name of the album the song appears on or the name of the song? Sure. So I'm pretty sure this is referring to the bulk work upload spreadsheet. The recording title should be just the just what the recording title is. I'm not sure I understand the name of the album the song appears on, or it's the name of the song. The recording title is the name of the song. So I think that answers your question, but if that didn't answer your question, you can hit the chat, but I believe that's what you were asking. And I know that bulk work upload, there's a lot going on there. So if you do need some help kind of navigating that, then you can reach out to support and they'll be able to help you figure out how to get that to pass through. Okay, ISRC, how important is ISRC can be from searches on web?
Not sure if I fully understand the question, but I will say that ISRC's international standard recording codes are important in our process. They are a unique identifier for sound recordings. So you should try to provide ISRC and other sound recording data when you have it, when you register works. It helps with the matching process, and therefore it helps us to pay you.
Right. Can you submit songs via CWR to the MLC? Maurice, did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so if you use CWR, HFA is our vendor, actually manages the CWR ingestion process. So if you are already submitting CWR with HFA, you should continue to do so, and your works will be reflected in the portal. If you are new to the MLC and would like to begin submitting CWR, you should contact our support team because you'll need to be set up.
And I did see in the chat a follow-up to the recording title question, which makes sense. So really is the difference between the primary title column and the recording title. So sometimes when we're talking about a work registration, there could be multiple recordings for a work, or there could just be one. So the primary title is the main title of the work. And then in the recording field, you'll just put all the recording titles that are associated to that work with their ISRCs. So an example, I don't know, could be like a title in French or something. So that's the difference. So it could be a one-to-one relationship. There could be multiple recording titles for one work. Just kind of depends on what's going on there. So hopefully that was helpful. Okay, and then how to fix discrepancies with data in SongView PROs.
Well, we don't manage that. So if you have questions about how your data appears in SongView, you should contact ASCAP and BMI.
All right. Identify various, we've covered that. Please run through how the MLC will handle disputes. We do have our disputes policy posted on the website. We showed you where to find that. It's probably just because looking at time, we're getting pretty close, and it's probably best to review that on the website. And if you have questions, you can reach out about that.
Yeah, and I think I touched on the high points, which is just notifying the affected parties, putting works on hold, and requiring substantiated documentation. But more on that if you review the policy, when you review the policy.
If non-affiliated HFA publishers that are still inputting data into the HFA system, is that info also shared with the MLC or only HFA affiliated publishers?
Yeah, I mean, if you register works with HFA, that data is shared with the MLC, regardless of whether the publisher is an affiliate of HFA or not. HFA has data for non-affiliates as well as affiliates. It's all public data from a statutory perspective.
Will the public database interface be updated so that it doesn't show 0 songs prior to expanding a writer's catalog? Yes, we are aware of that problem within the public search. It is being worked on by our tech team. A fix hopefully will be implemented soon. I don't have an exact date, but it will be addressed in one of the upcoming releases. Okay, does PRO register my works in the MLC, or I have to do it myself? You will need to register your own works. We don't have a partnership with any of the PROs, so yeah, you'll need to create your member account and register those works in order to get them into the database.
And as I touched on earlier, when I talked about what we do and what we don't do, we do not have anything to do with performance rights royalties. So anything that you do with the PROs is between you and them. What you do with the MLC is between us and you.
And we can. Is that all the questions? Did we get through them all?
Wow, Lindsey.
That was great. Well, thank you again, everybody, for joining us today. If we didn't get to your question or we didn't see it, well, we got to everyone's questions in the thought exchange. If you dropped one in the chat and we didn't get to it, feel free to reach out to our support team and they'll try to help answer that for you. And again, thanks for joining, and everyone have a great rest of your day.
Thanks all. Bye-bye.